Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So have you ever wondered why when you replace a Mercedes ECU and you try to write the VIN, it fails when you know that you've done the VIN writing procedure multiple times on the same type of ECU module? Okay, well, this happened to one of my clients and I wanted to shed some light for you guys to show you how we were able to get the car back on the road. So let's jump right into it. Today we're going to be analyzing the ME9.7 ECU VIN writing failure on a 2009 Mercedes ML350 with the IM608 Pro. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Curtis Harden. I'm an independent Autel diagnostic consultant. I align people with the right tool strategy and give them the one-on-one transformation that you see in this presentation. So if you want to get on the right track, head on over to auteltech.co.za. So first thing you're going to learn is the tools required to do this procedure. You're going to understand some important terms in terms of the Mercedes programming menus, and we're going to see what to do when VIN writing fails with your IM608. And we're going to understand the VIN writing inconsistencies, meaning why sometimes it may write, why sometimes it won't. And you're going to see a detailed VIN writing and programming procedure step by step. So the tools that were used in this case study were the IM608 Pro kit, the Macusys Ultra, and the used ECU. Now, to give you background on this case study, the client was addressing a malfunction on a 2009 Mercedes-Benz ML350, and he identified the original engine control unit was faulty. So he decided to replace it with a donor module and needed to versionize it using the IM608 Pro. He later contacted me with a concern about cloning the ECU due to the fact that while the previous times that he's done this procedure, the VIN writing was working, but for this particular module, it wasn't. Okay, it was not writing the VIN. So I told him to book a consultation with me so I can determine the right strategy based on the tool he has in order to resolve the issue. So definitions: initial startup with manual settings, input for new control module. So this is a setup process for a new control module requiring manual input settings. Okay, so this is typically used if you don't have the original and you have a blank ECU module. Okay, you can use this option. The other option is initial startup with automatic takeover of settings from old control module. So this automates the configuration of a new control module by copying the settings from the old one. Okay, like it will, you first have the original on, and then when you select this option, it will prompt you when to put on the donor module, and then you can do your programming and stuff. Okay, so those are the differences of those options. So step number one, review VIN writing error to submit data lodging. So to give you guys some context, the technician has this on the bench, okay, and he already versionized this module. Okay, he already versionized this module, and he I wanted to just do my checklist just to make sure that everything is in order. So the first thing I wanted to do was just verify if the module was indeed versionized. You know, because I'm just trying to see if there's something wrong with the module. Okay, once we get communication, it's going to give us the data pertaining to this vehicle. Okay, so you can see here there's the personalized activated, those are no. So this is telling me that it is versionized. That's the donor VIN number. Okay, and I'm going to click OK, and I'm not going to save it because you already saved the data previously. So now I'm going to go ahead to write engine ECU, and when I click here, I'm going to get a couple prompts, and it's going to ask me to input the VIN, which he already stored here. Okay, so I'm going to click OK, and then I get the error. So when this happens, what I typically do is I'll send this video recording to the engineer manually in my CRM system, and then I will follow it up by submitting it on the platform here. Now the reason I do both of these actions is by them having the video, they can see it, okay, and having this as a backend, they can kind of analyze the condition of like the hardware of the MCU as well as the software on the IM608. Okay, so if there is some type of glitch or some insight they can give me, they'll use this to give me that information. So once that's been set, my next step was to do the following: install the original ECU for VIN identification with the MaxiSys Ultra. Okay, so he went back to the vehicle, put the original one on there, and my goal was to have the MaxiSys Ultra identify the VIN, and then at a certain point I'm going to swap out the VIN just before the programming. Okay, so once I got in, I'm going to click read. That's our original VIN 784. Okay, so I see it down here on the lower left. I'm going to click OK, and I always like to just scan the vehicle just to make sure that there's nothing else going on. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and click quick erase. And then once that's done, I'm going to go to the programming option on the left hand side here. Okay, so we're going to click programming and coding, and then I'm going to look for the engine control unit options on the upper left, ECM. Okay, and then once that's done, there's several options. Now let me explain this. What I'm going to do is at this point I'm going to manually switch the original and the donor ECU for accurate VIN programming with the MaxiSys Ultra. Okay, so this is the point where I instructed the client to swap out the ECU, and what I selected was this one, the initial startup with manual settings for input for new control module. You could have went this one. This one probably would have been the more practical option because it's a sequence where it inhales the data and then transfer it over to the donor and does the programming. But this one, like, the reason why I like this one is because, like, let me give you it's a lame analogy, but like it's like driving an automatic versus a manual. Okay, they both can change the gears, but with manual you have a little bit more control. Okay, so with the manual settings, that's the type of control that I was looking for. I can monitor certain sectors of the programming process. So I went ahead and selected that, and these are all the steps here: step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. There's 6 steps. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and click auto, so it will just kind of just roll down and do all the necessary sequences. All right, so this is the VIN number. When I click OK, I'm going to start with the first process. All right, so that's the current control unit software, and this is the new software. All right, so we're going to go ahead and click yes. And you always want to make sure you have good voltage, which the client does. Okay, so we'll just follow the prompts, turn on the ignition. We're going to click OK. All right, and then once we do that, we have establishing communication, and then we're going to get a prompt of our software being programmed. Okay, so there's a countdown. Alright, and when that is done, alright, we're going to do step number 1, get SCN data from server. And I typically like to, pick the highest percentage of the coding success rate, which is data 1. And then I'm going to go ahead and go to step number 2. So step number 2 is the SCN coding. Alright, when that's done, I'm going to turn the ignition on. Control module reset, please wait. Alright, and then when that's done, oops. Alright, we're going to go ahead and click next. Alright, it's been coded successfully, please wait. Okay, this one I made a little mistake. There's different ways to do this procedure, but I wasn't sure on this terminology. Alright, so I clicked escape, which I realized I shouldn't have done, but it's not the end of the world, okay? What I did do, if I can remember correctly, let me see, I think I paused it here. Okay, I did step 4, alright, and once step 4 was done, alright, I clicked escape, and then I think I went back to step 3. When step 3 was done, then I went to step 4, step 5, and step 6. Okay, so I just went back. Alright, and these type of little hiccups, they happen, like sometimes the language on the Autel isn't so clear, and it's good to see these things, and you can just learn from them. That's how I learn most of the time, troubleshooting and stuff like that. So turn on the ignition, control module reset. Alright, so here I'm going to go back to step 3. Alright, you should see me click step 3 right there. Alright, and then this coding is being read. So I'm going to click transmit, which will send the new configuration to the vehicle's control unit. Alright, the coding has been carried out. Alright, so let's just do step 4 because now it has that new coding into it. Alright, click step 4, click start. I'm going to do it twice. Alright, and then that's done, so I'm going to click escape, and then I'm going to go turn off the ignition, and then go to step 5. Alright, and step 5 is probably one of the most important procedures, as anytime you replace these engine control units, they're going to need to have that drive authorization applied to them. Alright, so turn on the ignition, control module reset. Alright, so that's complete. So now we're going to do the teach-in of the drive authorization. Okay. Alright, so let's go. Let's just say here. Alright. So we got to make these yeses. Alright. So let's click, select that one. We're going to go ahead and click yes. And we'll let it do its magic. Please wait. Alright. Would you like to personalize it? Yes, we do. So we're going to go ahead and click yes. Wait for the countdown. Test procedure wiring component. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start the engine. Once we do that, the Autel is going to detect it and take us to the next screen. And then we'll get the other prompt. Alright, would you like to activate it? Yep, we do. And click yes. Please wait. Alright, turn off the ignition. Once we do that, we'll click OK. Alright, we're going to wait for the countdown. Turn on the ignition. Alright, once that's done, we'll click OK. Control module resetting. And then we'll do the final step, which is the adaptation of a camshaft position. This is just clicking a button, make sure all those preconditions are met on the upper left. And we'll click next. Alright, and then escape. Okay, so now what I want to do is just verify the VIN on the donor module. Okay, so I exit all the way out, right? And it automatically picked up the VIN, but let's just double check. Okay, so that's the VIN that we were wanting to achieve. All right, I think I did it again. Let me see. Auto detect, standalone. Just want to triple check if that VIN is stored on there, which it is. Okay, so you can go ahead and scan the vehicle, erase everything, and then you're good to go. We got a happy customer. Okay, so the question is, why could the IM608 previously handle VIN writing on the ME9.7 ECU, but not in this case? Okay, you guys, I always like to leave my clients with understanding. So this is what I concluded. Okay, so the IM608 conversionized this ME9.7 ECU, but it might lack the specific permission or software capability to write the VIN due to strict security protocols within the ECM's firmware. Okay, so if you look online, you'll see a bunch of people doing it with this ECU. All right, I just think, you know, maybe there's just some type of firmware where our software, it just isn't able to, you know, force write over that VIN. Okay, so the other question would be, so how come a different tool would be able to write the VIN? All right, well, it's simply because they might succeed in VIN writing if it has a different software and updated algorithms that allow it to bypass these security measures. Okay, so each tool's capabilities vary based on its software architecture and the functions it's licensed to perform. So that's why I tell people I'm not biased on tools. There's certain times where, you know, you have this expensive tool and it just won't do something very simple, and you can buy like another alternative that might do it, and it's just the nature of the business. So yeah, that's my understanding of why sometimes it will, sometimes that it won't. Okay, so in summary, when exchanging used control units on Mercedes, ensure to virginize the module first. This resets it to the factory settings, preparing it for successful reprogramming. Okay, you need to do this on all Mercedes. Like if you're new to this and you buy a, like, you know, let's say a 909 and you just try to put it on there, and it's not going to work. You have to virginize these Mercedes modules. Okay, after identifying the original ECU with the MaxiSys Ultra, select the initial startup and manual settings for programming. Once these settings are confirmed, swap the donor ECU and proceed with the specific programming procedure. Okay, next is always complete the drive authorization teaching after replacing ECU modules to ensure proper vehicle authorization. And 4, ensure you're prepared with alternative strategies for when specific procedures or functions fail. Okay, now you guys don't need to buy like, this is a very expensive tool strategy. Okay, like he wasn't my client that I, you know, consulted. I wouldn't necessarily recommend someone buying something like that. There's other options, but you need to always have a backup. Okay, very important. And lastly, when researching a tool's coverage, like if you're buying the tool, okay, while online resources offer general insights, a professional consultations ensure precise solutions are tailored to your vehicle. Okay, so the reason why I'm saying this is because like every month I'll get somebody who like has no intentions on buying the tool from me, but they want me to give them like certainty on if a special function is available. Okay, now I always will tell people, like, look, if you want a general answer, you can contact your supplier and they'll give you, you know, a general answer. Okay. If you want like certainty, I have a framework that I have to follow. Like I get VIN numbers, I get, you know, pictures of your ECU module. I'll look at my data, I'll transfer it over to my engineer to give you certainty. So that's why it may be frustrating if you're trying to get an answer out of me, but if I don't diagnose you professionally, you're gonna get disappointed. Okay, so just make sure, because it just happens a lot. A lot of people will buy the tool and they'll say, oh, I saw it on YouTube, but you know, there was a different VIN or something was different. Okay, so just keep that in mind when you're in the market for buying a tool. Okay, so with that, you guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you have any questions and you want to get your Autel device, go ahead and head over to the website. But with that, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next week. Take care. Bye.